Today we're taking you to a land where being big really does make a difference. Join us as we dive into the modern retelling of an old age tale. This is the story of Gulliver's travels. We start off with Lemuel Gulliver, played by Jack Black, who's just an ordinary guy working in a mailroom of a New York newspaper. And by working, I mean he's really good at slacking off, playing video games, and chatting up Darcy, the travel editor who he has a crush on. He's been stuck in the same dead-end job for years. Imagine if your only life goals were delivering other people's mail and avoiding responsibility. He's scared to make any real moves in life. Darcy suggests he writes a travel piece, and like any great procrastinator, Gulliver fakes his way into an assignment in the Bermuda Triangle. He wanted to impress Darcy, hence lies on his resume and pretends to be a seasonal travel writer. Who wouldn't hire the guy who writes such masterpieces as Top 10 Things to Do in Your Mom's Basement? Darcy, being shockingly trusting, sends him to cover the Bermuda Triangle assignment. And because Gulliver is a total genius, he sets off without a clue of what he's doing. Gulliver heads to the Bermuda Triangle on a boat, thinking this is his big break. But guess what? Instead of writing a travel piece, he gets sucked into a crazy whirlpool and crash lands on a mysterious island called Lilliput. It's like nature saw his life and said, let's give him the adventure he's pretending to be on. When he wakes up, he's tied down on the beach like a human burrito. Turns out, Lilliput is home to tiny people. Really tiny. Like, they've never seen someone his size before, and the Lilliputians are freaked out, calling him the Beast. Because to them, he's basically King Kong. They imprison him, and this is where he meets Horatio and things get interesting. He apparently was imprisoned by Edward because he liked the princess. Not everyone is thrilled with Gulliver's arrival, especially General Edward, the Lilliputian military leader, who's got the world's worst Napoleon complex. At one point their neighbors, the Blefuscudians, attack the Lilliputians and try to kidnap the princess. Gulliver and Horatio help to save the princess first and the king as well from a fire by urinating on it. Gulliver gets promoted to general and takes Edward's position. This goes to his head and he starts spinning some epic lies about how he's this super important guy back home. He claims he's the president and that he saved the world multiple times. They're completely buying it because these people have zero Wi-Fi and no way to fact-check him, hence decide that he's harmless. Gulliver starts living the dream life. He's hailed as a hero, eating giant meals, gets giant clothes, a palace, and enjoying celebrity status. He even inspires their nerdy king-to-be, Horatio, to woo Princess Mary, the Lilliputian version of a royal rom-com. When the townspeople find Gulliver's boat and his things, he gets angry voicemail messages from Darcy, saying she has to take his place and travel to Bermuda after finding out about his plagiarism and no longer wishes to be friends with him. The next day, Edward shuts down the city's defense system and chaos ensues as the Blefuscan navy lays siege on the city, but Gulliver defeats them. He was invulnerable to the cannonballs being fired at him, although he receives numerous welts on his stomach. Embarrassed once more and with Mary no longer wanting anything to do with him, Edward is seriously bent out of shape about being upstaged by a giant, and he's willing to do whatever it takes to knock Gulliver down, like, literally. He switches sides and joins forces with their rivals. Because what's a movie without some good old-fashioned betrayal? He plans to build a robot with the help of blueprints from one of Gulliver's sci-fi magazines. Yeah, a giant robot, because Edward apparently has a side gig as a mad scientist. Gulliver's lies about being a world-class hero eventually catch up to him when General Edward, mad with jealousy, tricks him into a battle with the giant robot. Gulliver gets his behind kicked, his lies are exposed, and humiliated. Afterwards they banish him to a remote island, Brobdingnag, the island where we dare not go, where he is captured by a giant girl, Glumdalclitch. She forces him to become her doll complete with a wig and dress. The rivals then imprison the king and princess. On the other side, Darcy also gets lost in the Bermuda Triangle and is imprisoned by the Blefuscans. Horatio goes to Brobdingnag and informs Gulliver, who after some much-needed self-reflection returns to Lilliput to redeem himself. He then escapes, using a parachute that he took from a dead U.S. Air Force pilot sitting in the dollhouse. Once again he accepts a duel from Edward. This time, he's not using lies or giant fists, he uses emotional intelligence. Yep, that's how we solve problems now. Gulliver ultimately defeats him with the assistance of Horatio, who disables the robot's electrocuting weapon. Horatio is now viewed as a hero and gets the king's blessings to court the princess. Edward, reaching the point of insanity, threatens to kill the princess, but the princess, finally having enough of him, turns and beats him up in frustration. Gulliver then helps to make peace between the two kingdoms, and later he, along with Darcy, get sent back to the real world, on their repaired boat, where Gulliver finally steps up and starts taking life seriously. He gets the girl, gets a promotion, and maybe stops pretending to be a hero, kinda. Finally we learn that even the biggest of us can learn a little something about humility. Sometimes, you just need to shrink your ego to grow as a person. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this recap, don't forget to subscribe for more epic breakdowns. See you on the next adventure.